The At Your Insta podcast is brought to you by Comictown. Check them out at www.comictown.net or search for Comictown Gaming Center on Facebook. Hello, and welcome to At Your Insta. My name is Morgan, and I'm here with Dave.
Hello.
And Mike. And we have another fun-filled episode for you guys. We are back from our break. We all had wonderful holidays to varying degree. Some of us are missing parts of ourselves. Actually, just one person, just Mike.
Mike lost an arm. That's fine. It's hard to shuffle.
No, I had a tooth extracted, so if I sound a little...
I've never heard of that magic card. I heard of cranial extraction. Is that sort of the same thing?
There's a card called Pulling Teeth.
Pulling teeth.
That's awesome.
It's not. Screw you.
Hopefully that's not how the dentist did it.
No,
It's
so
like a bunch of ropes.
So like, I got two
Something.
injections. Right, I got two injections, and then he was like, "All right, now we're gonna start. Raise your left hand if you feel pain." And like they just dug down in, and I was like, "Oh God, raising the left hand." He's like, "Okay, here's two more shots." So then I couldn't feel anything, and then I heard the sound of like tooth breaking, and I almost wept openly. I was just like, ah. And then, of all people, I saw on Facebook that like Ray Perez had teeth removed, and he was like, "Anybody else like that cracking sound?" I'm like, "You die, Ray."
Like the cracking sound?
Yeah, oh no, yeah, like he was like, "Oh yeah, it makes me laugh." I'm like, it struck me like in a way I don't want to hear it.
It touched your very being. Is that it?
So yeah, if I sound a little slurry, it's because well, I'm kind of swollen, but I'm here because I'm a trooper.
If I sound slurry, I have no excuse.
And you skipped out on CubeCast. So
I don't feel guilty at all.
Mandated to be here.
Is that how that works?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a Modern Masters cube. What insight could I have offered?
We talked about that.
Oh,
You would have
Yeah, I mean,
known
yeah, I
that.
heard
You
it.
would have known that if you listened to it.
I certainly did.
Hey, it's fine.
It's all right.
That was like one of those like artsy pieces. It's like, hey, you know what? I don't expect everybody to like it. You know, I did it for me.
It makes no money and no one cares about it.
Yeah.
It's your version of The Room.
Sure.
CubeCast is tearing us apart, Morgan.
I'm like, there's a tearing up us apart joke at some point in time. So, we have a light smattering of community stuff. We're not going to sort of drudge up a lot of the stuff that happened over the break. A lot of people have already talked about it to death, so there's no real point to us kind of adding our 2 cents in it. It's kind of whatever. But we'll talk about some stuff that happened recently, especially with a whole bunch of official spoilers being out there. But let's go ahead and jump into the community topics. So the next PPTQ schedule has been released and updated, and you can go to the website, and they have this nifty little search feature even, so you can like type in like your state or what have you, and look it up and see what kind of sweet PPTQs you have. Columbus has 2 this time around, and there's quite a lot in the Ohio region, and at least for Ohio runs, we have some all the way up to April 16th, which is pretty awesome. I assume that is probably the last week. But yeah, we definitely have a whole lot of schedules, a lot of scheduled events, I should say, 23 pages worth to be completely accurate. And it looks like, the last day for the season is going to be the 17th. From what I'm seeing. So nice. Awesome. Plenty of time and dates and places to go to play Magic and qualify for the regional PTQ. I really want to qualify for this one because the RPTQ is in Columbus. So
Yeah. And you get Snapcaster Mage.
No, the RPTQ in Columbus is for the last season.
Oh, is it? It's not this season.
Yeah.
It's the next one.
Snapcaster Mage?
No, it might be. It might still be Snapcaster.
I think
Mage,
it's.
But
Oh man, I thought this was
but
the Columbus one.
The Columbus one is in February. It's for the last season.
Oh,
right.
It's for the previous season that already happened. Never
Yes.
mind then. I still want to qualify for this one though.
No, of course you do. But hopefully you get to go to Columbus again.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. But yeah, so definitely check that out if you haven't already. And also keep if you are planning on going any sort of local ones, definitely keep in contact with those shops as well, just in case there are any changes. I know that one of our local shops has already rearranged their PPTQ to better suit the local schedule that's going on. So sometimes these can change. So use Facebook, Twitter, calling shops. Even they have phones apparently.
People call each other.
I have no idea.
Can you text?
That it even happened. Maybe. Probably call and see if anything is different than what maybe showing on Wizard's page. Just in case. but most of that stuff starts on the 23rd, so the first week that Oath of the Gatewatch will be legal. Speaking of Oath of the Gatewatch, we have a lot of spoilers that have been officially released through, correct channels that we have been perusing over the past few weeks, since I think the last week of December, the 27th or 28th, something like that. And there have been a lot of interesting cards that have come out of this set. And this set is looking to be, pretty substantially altering to standard from what we were seeing. Other formats we'll kind of have to wait and see, but you have a lot of colorless creatures, so things like Tron in Modern might see some vast changes as well. So, but we aren't going to talk about the whole spoiler. We're going to wait that for the palooza that we always have. But there are a few cards I think that we'd want to bring up and talk about. So,
Sure. The Palooza's next week, I believe.
We believe.
We're getting the full spoiler this Friday.
Yes, that would make
by the
sense.
time this goes up, it'll be like tomorrow.
Right. With the timeline, that makes sense.
What if they're alternate timelines?
Well, then it doesn't make sense, does it?
Then Zergo is just a janitor.
Zergo floor buffer.
Tap buff target floor.
It's like tap target wall gets +1/+1 counter. Because it's so shiny.
That's so awesome. No, target creature gains land walk. Anyways, I wanted to mention a really goofy card that, sometimes I see a really bad card and it excites me. For those who don't know, some of my favorite cards of all time include things like Booby Trap, Chalice of Life and Death, right? I'm a fairly competitive guy, but every now and then I look at a card like that and it just goes, You may remember me running Humble Defectors at the beginning of last format just because, man, that card is so sweet. And the card that's really scratching, that itch right now for me is Hedron Alignment, which is a blue enchantment, 2 colors and a blue, hexproof, because that's what every enchantment needs. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may reveal your hand. If you do, you win the game. If you own a card named Hedron Alignment in exile, in your hand, in your graveyard, and on the battlefield, it has an activated ability of colors and blue, scry 1. So it even helps you dig for other Hedrons. This card is insane, and it's going to be awful to try and win with it. And all I know is I want to play Jason 4 dig 3 times and just go to town.
Just break it. Try to figure it out.
Oh no, I don't know how you break it. There's no tutors in this format that are worth even. I mean, I guess Dark Petition, which is a thing, but
yeah, you can't do it turn 3 like you can in Legacy, but
Man, trust me, the first card I thought of when I saw this card was like, man, intuition in this card's insane.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful, I think, in standard, because you don't want to discard ones too early, because then, they might nuke the one in play, and you've got to make sure you have enough to have everything everywhere. So
how are they going to nuke the one in play? I guess they could Dromoka's Command.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah. So, I'm not going to lie. I will probably play this card at an FNM sometime in the next 2 months, and I will have a giant smile on my face, and the first person who I do this to will quit Magic.
It'll just be like, I'm done. I'm done
Probably
with this.
be some cacas involved, I'm sure.
Well, you'll be on here, like one FNM, and he was shanked. He bled to death.
Bled out right there on the floor. No one even tried to save him. It was really weird.
Everyone said, yeah, you deserve this. I'm like, quick, align the Hedrons. And no one did it, so.
No one did anything. Dave, do you have any cards you want to talk about?
Yeah, so it's I want to talk about a couple of blue-red cards that have been previewed here.
Big shock.
We've gotten some questions. We've gotten some questions about Jory and Ruin Diver, which is a colorless blue and a red legendary creature Merfolk Wizard. It's a 2/3, and it says whenever you cast
creature Merfolk Wizard. It's just like
it is a legendary creature dash Merfolk Wizard. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, draw a card. So I got some questions whether this would be playable in modern Blue Red Delver. And when I first saw this card, my first instinct was, well, it has the magical 3 toughness that is really the kind of the make or break usually for modern. If you have 3 toughness, it's not that great because it dies to lightning bolt. However, the more I thought about it, I do think this card is at least playable, and I'm definitely going to be trying it out. And the reason for that is that it's very easy to trigger this the first time you play it. You play this card and then you play any spell and it triggers. So even if your opponent responds by killing it, you still at least get one card out of it. And if it ever stays on the battlefield for more than a turn, then it's just gonna get out of hand. So especially in modern, it's very easy to trigger this every turn if you wanted to, and it even says each turn, so you could trigger it on your turn, you could trigger it on your opponent's turn, and then on your turn again. So
Your Snapcaster is good at casting 2 spells
Yeah.
on your opponent's turn.
yeah, like it's not even like you have to build your deck that specifically to make this really good. And in Blue Red Delver, a lot of the time the problem is you just run out of gas. So I mean, being able to gas up with this is actually pretty important. The other card was Storm Chaser Mage, which is it's an uncommon. It's a blue and a red for 1/3 flying haste and with prowess. So this card, I don't really know what to think of this right now. In modern, I think it's going to be hard to break in just because there are a lot of other 2-mana creatures that you'd want to play, but it's possible that it's good enough.
Card is so gross looking.
It's so good.
Yeah, yeah, it may see some play in standard. I mean, it just has a lot of really good abilities. Like prowess is really good. Flying is just the best way to evade, and haste obviously is always good. Like there's nothing bad about this. It's costed correctly, and I think it could be a beating. I mean,
Now, granted, we still have a fair amount of the set to go, but I think it's also important to know that we still don't have a lightning strike. So, I feel a lot more confident about this guy in standard too. When Fire Impulse is your biggest fear, you're like, oh well, that's cool. I'll just cast spells too.
Yeah, and the closest thing we have is the Chandra's Oath, which is a sorcery speed, 3 damage to target creature spell. Yeah, it's,
Enchantment, yeah.
yeah, not very threatening at all. So
yeah, but I think both of those cards are good, and I think they are playable in both standard and modern.
yeah, I want to play that mage. I think he's pretty sweet. I think he's kind of the bee's knees. Very aggressive card. But yeah. What else? I feel like I should bring up a card. I did want to bring up Flaying Tendrils, which is the infest variant that we actually are getting in this set, which is pretty interesting. So it's devoid for black and 1, and it gives all creatures -2/-2 until the end of turn, and then if a creature dies this way, it's exiled instead.
So it's kind of funny because it being devoid really doesn't matter that much, because it's like infest gets around protection from black and things like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like I don't really understand why it's devoid, except it's just like
They're
I guess
trying
the flavor.
desperately to make devoid like a thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's weird. You're right.
Yeah,
But you can cast it off your Corrupted Crossroads, and you.
Yeah. The fact that it exiles though is like super important for standard. Like you can hit a hanger back with this. You can hit Den Protectors and they go away forever instead of looping.
You can hit the entirety of the rather the ancestors deck.
Yeah.
Like if they don't have a husk on the table, you're just like, well, sorry, buddy.
You don't get those back anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, and I guess we should mention that we did get the blue-red and the green-black manlands. I think those are pretty significant. So let's start with the blue-red one. It's Wandering Fumarole. Sure. Sounds all right,
I like
guess.
California rolls better.
Wandering
Spring
California roll. It's a blue-red land that comes into play tapped, adds blue or red, and then you can pay 2 blue-red, and until end of turn it becomes a 1/4 elemental that is blue and red and has a activated ability of 0. Swap this creature's power and toughness until end of turn. So it's a what? I guess like Frostburn Weird is something that we compared it to, but also like a Flux Charger,
Calcite Snapper.
Calcite Snapper, yeah. So a lot of people are pretty high on this card. I mean, I think it's pretty good for what it is. It's not like a looter, like an underpowered looter, which I think a lot of people thought it was going to be because blue red's a really powerful combination in modern, specifically as well as legacy, I guess. But more importantly for modern,
No, this card seems right on power level. It does cool things, especially for the blue red twin deck. It attacks well into things like Spellskite. which Spellskite, is notorious for being able to sort of lock down the blue red deck for a while. Like, hope you have, Twisted Image, and this card's like, well, how about a 4 power creature?
Right.
So obviously it's a little weak to a removal, and Dave was explaining to everybody in the car the trick, which is an old one, but an important one to know, that you can kill this thing in response. So if it becomes an X1, you can kill it in response. Like, and if they try to go back to a 1/4, it doesn't work. It just dies.
Right.
So
Yeah.
don't pretend like this is invincible, invulnerable. Learn the rules with that one, but it's still pretty sweet.
Yeah, I like the power level of it. It's like it's not as good as the World Wake blue one, so Creeping Tar Pit or Celestial Colonnade, but if it was anywhere near as good as those ones, it'd just be way too good.
Yeah,
It's
I
just-
think when you look at this, your first instance, like my first instance, was to go, well, for 1 more mana, I get a 4/4 flyer with Vigilance, right? But I think it's important to note that this is within color. Like, we've been playing Jeskai Twin, and that card, Celestial Colonnade is a huge reason to want to play that list because it's so good. But like, this gives, this being only blue red, then it starts to make a little more sense. But so yeah, that comparison, it's only gonna take you to bad places.
Yeah.
right.
Be happy with what you got.
Right. And then we also have Hissing Quagmire, which has caused a lot of very funny alters of this card to have just the picture of Quagmire from Family Guy on it, which has been very funny. It is the black-red man land, and its activated ability is 1 green-black. Hissing Quagmire becomes a 2/2 black and green elemental creature with Death Touch until end of turn. It's still a land.
Yeah.
Yep, this is about right.
I mean, that's about as good as they could have made this one. Just
Yep.
because black green is the color combination that most wants this type of card. We've
Yep.
seen Treetop Village sees a ton of play in Modern, where they play Crumbling. What's the green red one?
A Raging Ravine.
Raging Ravine. Yeah. So I mean, it's fine. It's not crazy good, but it'll be played.
I saw like Ben Blyweiss does like reviews on Star City, and he said that he didn't think this card would be able to break into Modern, and I thoroughly disagree with that. Like, it may not be exciting, but I don't know whether the manland is straight up killing a Tarmogoyf.
Yeah.
And like, a lot of those mirrors are looking for something that does that. So yeah, this card may not be a straight 4 or anything like that, but its power level's right on. Like, I think people are expecting something so flashy, but it's like, this is good. This is going to do something that your lands generally shouldn't be able to do. So I think it's Death Touch is always sort of that ability that's as a keyword that everyone's like, yeah, well, it has Death Touch, and you're like, no, it has Death Touch. You know what I mean? Like, something like, I think like Baleful Strix is a good example of this. But like, well, yeah, you get to draw a card, and I'm like, yeah, and it has Death Touch. Like, do you understand how important this is? Like, do you understand what it trades with for nothing? You literally got a free card. Like, so
Yeah, that's why a lot of people like have brought up Eiley when it was initially spoiled and got a lot of hype because it's just a 2/3 with Death Touch, and like that's significant. It has upside, but I mean, like, just the body on itself is fine. So Death Touch is very significant. It trades with big things, and sometimes you just need that.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of situations, it may as well just read unblockable on it because they're not going to want to trade
Yeah, exactly.
with your quote unquote
you'll just-
crappy land.
You just get in damage, and like that's
Yeah.
that's more than fine. Sometimes that's what you need to do. So I think it's fine. I would not say that this could break into Modern. That doesn't make any sense to me. I think like it may not be like as significant as like really Raging Ravine, but
Oh, we've even seen just straight black green decks in Modern before, like Reed Duke when he played the Phyrexian Obliterator special.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm sure that deck would play this card.
yeah, you 3000% would just want a main
Or
land.
like any of the old school like Death Cloud lists. They'd play the crap out of this card.
Yeah. Yeah, that's silly. But yeah, those are some of the the interesting ones that we just wanted to touch on here a little bit. There's obviously a ton more cards that we will be talking about when we go over the spoiler, but you guys will just have to wait for that one.
Yeah,
Gotta be patient.
this is shaping up to look like one of the 3-hour specials with the amount
There-
of cards that are interesting and are good.
There's just a ton, and that's good. It's good to have a lot of cards that are fairly interesting that look like they can break through. And I think like once we kind of get into rotation, like that is going to be an interesting time for Magic. I mean, obviously we'll have an unknown element right now when we have Shadows of Innistrad and have no idea what's going to be going on in that set, but with all the cards in here and all the potential that we have from Oath, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy, guys. But all right, enough with the community stuff. Let's go ahead and talk about the competitive scene. So we had the Star City Games Open in Cincinnati, which we all attended and had varying degrees of success or not success. But it was a huge tournament, actually huge. It was 1,022 players, which is crazy to think about.
Like,
Record breaking, even.
yeah, the biggest one ever.
The biggest
Tour
event.
ever. Also, the first one, which is
Second
awkward.
one.
No, I
Second one? Oh, yeah,
It's not the
second one.
biggest open ever. I won an open bigger than this.
was it more than 1,000?
Yes.
Okay.
We hit 11 rounds, hitting over 1,100 people.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
why it's the biggest tour event.
Yeah. So it was the only second one then.
And you could argue it's definitely the biggest event since they made their format change to 2 days. Like, blowing that out of the water as well. But it's not the biggest open ever.
Okay, fair enough. It's still a lot of people.
Yeah.
It was pretty cramped in the room too.
Yeah,
It
for
was
sure.
miserably cramped.
They did their best. They opened up a secondary room and put people in there. But the secondary room was like the no elbow room. It was like coach. Like they just opened up the coach room. Everyone in the big room had first class, kind of.
I wouldn't say that. Like the higher up in the tables that I went, the less elbow room that I got.
Oh,
Like
okay.
they tried to put 4 people on one side of one table
Yeah, it
instead
was
of 3.
It was rough, and it's so funny. I feel like this is like back-to-back modern tournaments that we've gone to where like the people have just like blown the doors off of the whole thing, and just had so many people there, and did not have the proper space arrangements for it.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because like on a lot of rounds, like when we would sit down like before the round would start, like people would just be talking, be like, "Oh, did you go to GP Pittsburgh?" Oh, it's like similar, similar but different.
Yeah,
think.
I mean, like, they haven't really broken 700 with this new 2-day format. So I can't really fault Star City for not preparing for 1,000. And even I say not preparing for 1,000, but honestly, they had enough room to run their event and side events. And
It's true.
It's cramped or not. I think the thing that really was the kicker for this event, and sort of unlucky for Star City, but they had the issue with their website going on this weekend as well. So they couldn't tweet pairings. So you had 1,000 people who had to go to pairings boards,
Yeah.
and that is really what made everything miserable. Like, rounds were delayed, and you had 500 people standing around, like, hey, I gotta get to this board, and no one wants to wait. They want to push each other out of the way because that is convenient. So that was rough.
Yeah, it's definitely like, well, this is a convenience that we've grown used to, and now we don't have it, and it was just like a combination of unfortunate things that we guess we really couldn't complain about. We can't complain about not having pairings tweeted to us, but it was definitely something that was unfortunate to say the least. But even though it was unfortunate, it still could have been worse. For sure, and I think like Star City Games still does a pretty good job of running a tournament. I don't feel like we got out of there super late. We still had time to go get dinner, so we were able to
Yeah.
find a restaurant that was open.
It was later than I was expecting.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, man, not much. I mean, with the amount of players they had, like it could have gone off the rails so much more. So, but anyway, we played some sweet decks. Mike and I played Jeskai Twin, same exact 75, and it was sweet. I didn't win any matches with it because I played against some not so great matchups and some matchups that I hadn't played against in testing. And I hadn't tested all that much, but like playing against Tron and how you got to see how that matchup has kind of changed now that I have access to Ulamog, where it's just like, oh, we're kind of playing this game, and then you cast Ulamog and you destroy 2 of my lands, and then I'm not playing this game anymore. So that was interesting, and then he attacked with it, and then got to exile all 4 of my Path Exiles with his attack trigger, and then I was like, we're done. I can't do anything.
And I have no more outs.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, that was interesting. I got paired against Bloom round 1, and that was a difficult matchup for a bit. I did make a mistake for myself in like game 1 when I could have just countered his amulet and didn't because I wasn't paying attention, and that definitely caused me to lose the game. Turns out that's a very important card in that deck.
Yeah, they might need that one.
It's almost
They
as
don't
if
always.
it's almost as if they're named after that card, at least half of it. So, yeah, that was my bad. That was my bad. I'll take that one. But you know, the room I don't think was set up necessarily to take advantage of Jeskai Twin. I think that the Jeskai Twin list really preys on other creature decks, and I don't think that was necessarily what that metagame was. I think that there was a lot of Bloom and a lot of Tron, and
And a little burn,
a lot of Burn too.
which is a fine matchup. But
Yeah.
again, just a little bit different access to format. So
Right. Where you can't really levy, the power that you gain from white with having, extra removal spells. And you can't necessarily even take advantage of a lot of your sideboard. With Burn, it's different. You have access to
timely reinforcements.
timely reinforcements, which is pretty sweet. But we had a Stony Science in the sideboard, and it's just like I didn't see necessarily a lot of affinity. Of course, I was in the lower bracket. Maybe they were, obviously performing better than I was. But did you guys see a lot of affinity?
I
Not a
saw
lot, but-
I saw a bunch near like the top tables, and there were a few of them in the top 32.
It was the
I did
second
not.
It was the second highest day
Yeah,
two deck.
I didn't
Yeah.
play against it once the whole time.
Yeah, it's so weird.
This is how modern is.
Yeah, that's very, very true. But if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have just played like Blue Red Twin, and that probably would have been a little bit better advantage towards what was showing up, because you have a worse creature matchup, a worse like Jund or Junk matchup, Green Black X, but your matchups against like just straight combo decks, unfair decks as it were, gets a little bit better. But I think Twin was fine. Like Twin in general would have been a fine choice for the room.
Yeah, I played as well. I went undefeated in matches where I wasn't playing against another twin deck. I played against 3 twin decks in the first 5 rounds. So awkwardly, like I actually feel like it has a really good mirror match. I played against Blue Red Twin and lost game 3 to Keranos. Quite literally, Keranos revealing Teferi, Keranos then revealing Vidalian Click to hit my twin when I was going to win the next turn, and then him attacking with Keranos because Teferi adds 3 mana and Vidalian Click adds 2, and yeah. So it was just like, all right. It was just like, those were consecutive turns. So like, in 2 matches I lost to Blurred with Twin twice. Like, they involved like them hitting Teferi like right in the last few turns, and it was just like, all right. And like, that goes back to the sideboard card stuff. Like, they had a powerful sideboard card that I didn't. They saw it and it won the game. So it was a little awkward, but because like both times I cast Teferi, I definitely had like a mana leak and a remand in hand, and it just like made me have to slow way down. I had a lot of mana issues in the mirrors too. The name of the game in the mirror is hit your land drops, and like I played against Grixis Twin round 2, and he played, and this is not a joke, 4 Serum Visions, 4 Lightning Bolts, and 7 Snapcaster Mages against me game 1. And that was it. Like, he wasn't casting other spells. He just had all 4 Snapcasters naturally, and then hit a Culligan's command and was able to start bringing them back. And I was like, all right, well, I guess. And I saw 0 Serum Visions that game. So just the kind of thing where it was really draw dependent. I beat Burn without too much of a hassle, and played against a Mardu Bellringer Splinter Twin deck. It was like Mardu tokens, and that was a fun matchup. His deck was interesting, and I definitely got the sweet mold of 5 win game 3, because one of the I think the big bonuses to just Jeskai Twin is it gets to play Blood Moon, but no one thinks you're playing Blood Moon, and like so like I was stuck on lands for multiple turns, and he just did not play around the Blood Moon. It was just like, oh, I hit my 3rd land, Blood Moon. It's like, oh, it's like, yeah. So that's kind of nice. I still like the deck. I definitely agree. I don't know how well positioned it is based on this. Give it a few weeks. If you see the ban, quote unquote, possibly coming for Bloom, maybe the format moves away from it a little bit. But I really like BBD's blue red list, which is what I think if I was going to play Twin again, I'm going to. For now, I'm gonna stalk the internet for 2 weeks and cross my fingers and hope Bloom gets banned, and then I'm gonna start playing Tron again because I can deal with one bad matchup with the format. I can't deal with 2. So.
All right. Well, I finished.
Dave, no one wants to hear about how you did, so let's move on.
Yeah, I finally get to go last in one of these things. It's been a while. That means I did the best. No,
It's true.
I went 11-4 and finished 31st. Played Blue Red Delver. It's just
Oh yeah,
it
that
was-
deck you were never gonna play again.
I know. I've said so many times that I'm like, oh no, I'm done with Delver. And you know what, Morgan, you're partially responsible. So I just gotta say thank you for because
You're welcome.
one of the last times we cubed, you said, there were a couple blue red lists that did well in the modern leagues on Magic Online, and like, yeah, I'm done with Delver. I'm gonna look for another deck. And then like, I kind of like was interested. I was like, you know what? I kind of want to see what they look like. Let's go check it out. It's like, I don't know. I keep like trying to equate it. It's like a crazy ex-girlfriend that you just like, she's bad, but
We've been over this. Exact line is, "Why can't I quit you?"
yeah, why can't I quit you? It's like Morgan told me. He's like, I saw her at the movies the other day. She's looking pretty good.
She's
And I was
looking
just
good,
like,
man.
Yeah, it's looking good. It's like, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's
Look
good. That's
like
cool.
she cleaned herself up. I don't
Yeah.
know, man.
And then I was like, that night just kind of, looking at the deck list.
Yeah,
like
trolling
Facebook,
Facebook.
On Facebook
Facebook
stalking.
stalking. Yeah. And then, finally decided to give her a call, see what's going on.
Yeah, he actually
wanna
liked the
wanna go get
picture.
some coffee. So I played it at a local. I played it at Comic Town Modern on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Before the tournament. It's like, hey, you want to go get some coffee, catch up? What's going on?
Let's
The
see
thing
where
went
we're
well,
at as people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we've grown and we can
Yeah.
do this now.
No, but seriously, the deck was good. It was very close to the list I played at States when I finished second. So really, I don't know why I stopped playing the deck. I don't know. It seems to do well for me. So, and given what the metagame turned out to be, it was really good. If we look at the metagame breakdown for day 2, it's the most played decks were Tron, Affinity, Burn, Grixis Twin, Jund, Blue Red Twin, or the top 6 decks, and Blue Red Delver's either really good or slightly favorable against all those decks. So,
Burn?
yeah, I beat.
No, just because you can beat it does not mean that deck is favored against it. Don't do that.
I don't think I've ever lost to it playing this.
It's definitely
list.
not favored. It's definitely not a favorite against Burn. No, it's not.
I beat the guy that finished 11th playing
Great.
Burn.
It doesn't mean it's favored against Burn. Doesn't matter.
I don't know. I've found it to be favorable. I didn't think it would be, but
It's not.
it's been.
You've done well. People know how to play against you, but it's not a favorable
Sure.
matchup. Everybody actually.
Sure.
Yeah, if you ever no seriously. Now I know this coming from a player who generally plays a deck that no one plays against. You gain a lot of points in bad match. Like Twin is not a good matchup for like Lloydtron, but people do not know how to play against it. Like you should just be jamming the combo, and this never did. So like you gain points that way.
No, that's fair.
You are a
No,
skilled player who knows how to play the matchup, but that is not a good matchup for Blue Red Delver. 2 of your cards.
I probably
are
played it
just
more
that
than
good.
you, but
What?
I probably played it more than you.
What? I'm not. Who cares? You played it more than me. It doesn't matter.
I'm just saying in my experience. Anyway,
I'm leaving.
I'm done with this.
My experience.
no.
Why does it treat me so bad? It's every other
Hey,
time Dave plays.
we haven't hit that part. Yeah, we're still doing good. I know the heartbreak's coming, but we're just gonna ride it out. We're having a good time.
We're
for now.
still in the third honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
Reunited and it feels so good.
No, I managed to dodge Abzan, which is my worst matchup. But I did play against a couple of bad matchups. I lost against Jeff Hoagland, who ended up top 8ing this tournament with his Kiki Cord deck. Turns out Orzhov Pontiff is pretty good against a deck full of X1s.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, it seems like any of the Cord Company decks are generally really bad matchups for you. Cards like Kitchen Finks and Voice of Resurgence are just not what you want to see on the other side of the table.
no, I can certainly tweak the sideboard a little bit for those, but it still doesn't make them favorable. It just makes it slightly less bad. Played against Logan Mize as well, who was playing Abzan Company, and that was just not close. So yeah, those matchups are generally pretty tough. But I did play against just a big variety of decks. I played against 2 Grixis controls, went 1-1 against those. Grixis Twin, 2 Merfolks, a couple different versions of Zoo, like Naya Zoo with different cards in them. Burn, Tron, Scapeshift. I played against everything except for Infect and Affinity, which are 2 of my best matchups. Didn't play those decks, but yeah, it went well. I thought on day one I played pretty well. Went X and 2 going into day 2. Day 2 I didn't feel like I played well at all. Definitely played like multiple. I had multiple players that I was able to identify. Definitely threw away game one against Jeff Hoagland, which was really bad. Um, but I don't think that matchup was good anyway. I don't know if it would have. Yeah.
And just to troll you a little bit, I don't know if you saw his tournament write up.
No.
Yeah, he definitely said he never didn't. He's like, I played against like Blue Red Twin, I think. Like he does not mention he played against Delver. He doesn't even know.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't even know what
No.
he beat.
Oh no, he knew it was Delvers because they just didn't flip against him. So they just decided they were taking that match off.
They were just they were taking their names very seriously, and they were just being Delver secrets.
Right.
Shh,
Yeah.
secrets.
The secrets were kept.
But no, it was a good tournament overall. It was the first time I've actually been able to day two one of the Star Cities since they moved to the 2-day format. I had a lot of X3s, unlike the ones where X3 didn't make day two. So it was nice to kind of get over that hump, and finishing in the top 32 was nice.
No, you were alive up until you lost to Logan Mize. Because 12-3, Hoagland actually did top 8 at 12-3. So
Yeah.
you had a really good run. It was kind of, I felt bad for you because you had to go down to Cincy by yourself on Sunday. But no, it was good job.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Thanks. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I obviously enjoy playing the deck. So it's good.
I think in Modern, like, for all the harassing I would say about the deck, just like you've harassed me about mine, like, if you know the deck really well, you get a ton of points, and there's something to be said for consistency, you know what I mean? And for the people who pick up the flavor of the week, including myself recently, I got 3 or 4 tournaments in with Jeskai Twin, but I still probably wasn't as prepared for the sideboard as I could have been, you know what I mean? So you definitely gain points on people like myself, and gain points even on the people who do know their deck well, just because you know your deck just as well. So, and that's what I like about Modern. There's a lot of crappy things going on with it right now, but I still like the format overall because of that. Because Dave Nolan can take Delver to the highest mountains.
Or 31st, which probably it's not the highest mountain. It's like one of the medium mountains.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, a nice plateau.
It's like it's like it's visible, but it's not the highest one.
sure.
It doesn't have any snow on the top.
No, yeah, there's no snow on 31st. No.
Anyway, well, let's talk about the people that did reach the pinnacle of their mountains, as it were.
Scape Shift didn't do well.
Thank you for that. The tournament was won by Amulet Bloom, piloted by Bobby.
Fortunately,
Right? Isn't that what you wanted? It's for
the way that
Tanley.
he ran, it's Bobby. Fortunately,
It's Bobby. Fortunately, but I think it's for Tanley. I'm gonna say
Fortunately,
for whatever.
I don't know.
I want to say fortunately.
I do know the guy had to push his flight back to be able to play in the finals.
That's great.
They took a 10-minute break in the finals because he had to go make a phone call to push his flight back.
Yeah, I'm gonna win this thing. So can we? I need to push. Yeah, he defeated Jeff Hoagland, playing Kiki Quid, as we already mentioned in the finals. But I mean, like there were definitely some notable names here in the top 8. We have BBD playing Blue Red Twin. We also have Ali Antrazi playing Green Red Tron. And then we, this is more of a local name, but Bill Caminos. I believe he plays out of the Dayton area, playing Amulet Bloom as well. So 2 Bloom decks in the top 8. Then we also have 2 Affinity, piloted by Andrew Hanks and Josh Dickerson. And then a Night Company list, piloted by Todd Stevens.
I think it's really funny that BBD no longer works for Star City. He's just like, you know what? Can't save me on camera.
Yeah, he won the standard IQ, was it, or the standard Open, right, from the Invitational?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the first. That was the first, I guess, technically, the first one of this season.
Yeah,
So
the
yeah,
first
he was
one,
able
yeah.
to top 8 this one as well in Modern. So
Yeah,
he's on a nice little streak there.
Yeah, for sure. But taking a look at the rest of some of the lists, we do have some standouts. We do see that the Black White Eldrazi list got 10th place, piloted by Matthew. Was it Dilks?
Yeah.
Dilks.
Do you guys want to talk about that list for a little bit? Because we haven't actually talked about this deck yet.
So here's how I was encountered this deck, because I'm sitting here last week agonizingly in pain. So I'm like just trying to. So I'm taking like medicine, and I'm just playing Modern Leagues, just playing Just Guys Win over and over again. And my opponent goes like, Thoughtseize you, Inquisition you, play Relic, and I'm like, I'm like messaging show chat. I'm like, this deck's doing weird things, and they're like, oh, it's this deck. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then they just play a Blade Herder, and I was like, what? What
Yeah.
turn is it?
Yeah,
Yeah. This
Yeah.
deck is weird.
it is weird. So it's the black white Eldrazi deck. It takes these things called Eldrazi Temple, and they tap for 2 mana, which is great. It's awesome. But you can only cast this mana to play out colorless Eldrazi spells or activate colorless Eldrazi abilities. Well, back when this was originally printed in Rise of the Eldrazi, all the Eldrazi's were huge. They were at least 7 to 8 mana, something like
Yeah.
that.
7 to 15.
Yeah,
We'll just-
basically.
we'll go with that.
But we're back in Zendikar, and Blightherder guy only costs 5, man. Turns out,
You mean 4?
yeah, basically. So yeah, it turns out being able to accelerate into these, and something else that they accelerate into is Oblivion Sower, and that costs 6. So they're able to position exiling your library via Relic of Progenitus. Also,
Path to Exile.
Scrabbling Claws
Scrabbling Claws is on the list.
has
Oh,
also
yeah. That was the card I saw too. I was just like, what deck plays Scrabbling Claws? Like, this is not even a card, right?
yeah. Also, I hate to break this news, guys, but Wasteland Stranglers on the loose in Modern.
Now, is this like making a murder?
They're making
Is
a
this
new,
like,
yeah, they're making a new Netflix documentary. Well done, sir. It's the exact same joke I was going for. Yeah, right here. Yeah. all right.
Congratulations, guys.
That's what the name of this deck should be. But yeah, I will say. So if this list, if this picks up in popularity, which it has been, it's been steadily. I feel like it's been increasing, especially on Magic Online.
I Am Ugins are sold out at Star City for $30. Eldrazi Temple, the uncommon from Modern Masters, is sold out at $10. I bought 3 I Am Ugins from Star City for $6 a piece. Best deal of the open.
One card to take a note of that is currently in Standard is Oblivion Sour. That card is $8 in the Star City games right now. $8.
Well, it's a mythic that's seeing play.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's
It's also good to note that this is the one that was in the Zendikar versus Eldrazi dual deck. So it was the premium foil in that. So if you want to pick it up that way, you certainly can. You get some extra bonus cards along with it. So it's not like terrible, but
yeah.
it's an option.
Yeah. But yeah, what I was going to say is if this list continues to gain popularity, I don't think Blue Red Delver is going to be a good deck in the metagame.
Yeah, you guys don't like Blightherder.
Can't ever beat this.
From what I hear.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Blightherder. I could just remand that, right? Oh, wait, you still get the 3 tokens. Oh. Well, what about what about Vapor Snag? That work? Oh no, it doesn't work either. Yeah, Wasteland Strangler just murders all your guys. It's not good.
You just play that new Flying Mage, and you're fine.
And on top of it, it just has Lingering Souls, which is like the best card against me.
Yeah.
It's just like, just throw it in there. That's like, oh yeah, by the way, Lingering Souls.
Yeah,
cool.
we'll play this as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the new hotness, as it were, in the modern community. So a lot of people like this list. It is fairly, quote unquote, inexpensive to get into. That is quickly becoming, not the case as everything is getting bought out. That is cheap. Because we have a wonderful community that
Can't avoid a good deal.
can't avoid a good deal. Correct.
Can't pass up the value.
Nope, not at all. Why would you? But it seems pretty viable in all honesty. I mean, I can see it getting a boost when we do get Oath of the Gatewatch coming out. We have a lot of interesting cards that may or may not fit into this shell, and people are excited to play it and they want to work with it. So. With a modern Pro Tour coming up and this new deck kind of existing and us getting a new, set that has a lot of colorless Eldrazi or, a lot of Eldrazi that could maybe fit into it, if this deck hits at the Pro Tour at any level, we could see this thing kind of take off. But it's kind of interesting to see people just really attack the format in a different way and just be like, well, let's just do this. Let's just take these Eldrazi and make them basically cost less. And see what we can do. And then I'm glad it's happening. Blightherder finally saw its day.
Yeah, I thought this deck was kind of like a joke deck when I first saw it. I didn't really take it seriously, but it definitely does some powerful things. It's very Tron-esque in the way that it powers out these giant threats, fairly easily. So, it's not the same as Tron, but it against the Jund, or like Abzan style attacks, it definitely has those same advantages that Tron has over those.
And I will say, I think this actually now, granted, I played Twin against it was the I think it was Black Red. I don't know which version. Like either way, it was a pretty easy matchup. But looking at this Black White version, where you have like four Inquisitions, you have Thoughtseize, you have all this removal, like it probably has more game against some of the creature based combo decks like Company and Twin that Tron can just like roll over to if it doesn't have its best draw. This one actually plays a game of Magic while going over the top, whereas like Tron and Bloom are just like super linear. And if you like your deck to have a little bit of play to it, this might be the direction you want to go.
So, yeah, it's fairly awesome to see something new come out of Modern, and people kind of give it the second look, and kind of are like, what is this doing? What is going on? And then it kind of prove itself, which I think is interesting. So I don't think a lot of people are going to be considering the Black X Eldrazi list jokes going forward. I mean, it's likely a viable strategy. So I'm excited to see how it mutates and goes forward. Is there anything else as far as that's concerned that we want to talk about from the Modern Open before moving on?
Yeah, I want to mention the Ascendancy Gives deck.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh man, yeah.
So I think I already said everything. So take gifts, right? So gifts Ungiven and Unburial Rights and Elishnor and Iona, and then just smash it together with a Jeskai combo shell. It's like this is Ascendancy Gifts took 23rd, Scott Kirkwood. So 4 Jeskai Ascendancy, 4 Gifts Ungiven, and an Is It Charm, Lightning Bolt, Path to Exile, Sphinx's Ride, Faithless Looting, Flame Jab, Life from the Loam, Serum Visions, Unburial Rights. And then it plays 4 Birds, 2 Fate Stitcher, 1 Snapcaster, 4 Sylvan Caryatid, and then Iona and Elishnor. This deck is crazy. The weird thing about this deck compared to like some of the other Ascendancy decks is it definitely doesn't have like it's not all in on just like two or like cantripping out. Like there's no sleight of hands. Like it's actually very minimal at this. So I don't know what to make of this deck. I would have to see this deck run or try to pilot this deck to know how in the world to play it. Because he did really well with it, and it seems crazy. If you just like looked at this list, like somebody took a bunch of old standard decks, threw them up against the wall, and then puked on the carpet and left.
And then came back and just shuffled it together. Like I guess I'm playing this. Yeah, I would like to see this kind of get played and see what that looks like.
I really do like the innovation with Life from the Loam here because like it has 21 lands and you can discard your lands to the Ascendancy and then discard your Life from the Loam and get the lands back. So you may not have as much like straight cantripping, but you do ensure that you have more fuel to discard without losing spells.
Now, I wasn't able to see this list in action. I did hear about it, and I did kind of railbird a match like when it was on camera, but I wasn't seeing everything going on. But Flame Jab, Life from the Loam, and Jeskai Ascendancy seems like that's pretty good, right? Because you can keep doing the Flame Jab and then just keep getting lands back and then untapping your things and getting more mana. Is that how it goes off? I don't actually know.
I'm not totally sure here, honestly. Now I will say like even the mana base is a little different here. Like it has the 1 of Simic Growth Chamber, like which is like a sweet land to untap with your Fate Stitcher. But I'm assuming it can go off close to infinitely with that Flame Jab, but you have to find the Flame Jab. So that's where the Gifts Ungiven really comes in.
Yeah, but I think you just gifts for like Flame Jab, Life from the Loam,
Elishnor and on
Faithless Looting. I don't know. Yeah, sure.
Man, this deck, I thought I had weird gift piles. This deck has the craziest gift piles, and probably the saddest ones, too, where your opponent's just like, what? Like, well, I guess I'll shove the Elishnor in your hand so you can't cast it. Oh, you're going to trigger off your Ascendancy and discard it. I don't like it.
Oh, it actually doesn't matter what choice I make. They're all wrong.
That's the best. When you are the Gifts Ungiven player, that's the best thing. When your opponent goes, I have no good choices, and you're like, yeah.
I did my job.
Put some honey in a sock.
You just enjoy any deck that's like turn 5 Iona from an Unburial Rights.
Leave me alone. And yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Turn 5, sir. This deck plays Birds of Paradise.
Okay, turn 4.
Yeah, I mean this deck is so weird that I don't even know how it works. But yeah, I mean this is one of the good things about Modern is you could play something like this, and your opponent will have no idea what's going on until they're dead. So
it's like turning on like an old car. You're like, huh? Yeah, no, yeah. All right, yeah.
I get it now. I don't like it.
I don't know what kind of gas it takes, but it drives sweet. So I want to point this out. I have no idea if this ever becomes a deck. Like Jeskai Ascendancy has not shown itself to really be like once they took away Treasure Cruise that deck. Like we local L2 JP John Paul Adams, you know him, you love him. Plays Jeskai Ascendancy for some reason when he plays Modern. I'm glad he judges most of the time because deck is miserable. But
But it really shouldn't be. Like Jessica Ascendancy is one of the most powerful cards that we have access to. It's just
the card is good, but like
Yeah.
the interaction, like even here, the interaction, like if they're stopping what you're doing, you're not stopping what they're doing, ever. Like you're hoping you have a Path to Exile to kill their guy, but if they're like, how does this deck ever beat like Bloom on a good draw? How does it ever beat Tron on a good draw?
yeah,
Right?
no, that's fair. I mean,
Like you look at the sideboard and like honestly, like Terraston has access to it gets a Ghost Quarter. It is not doing the most exciting things against those. So I think that's really the real issue is that it's not the most robust combo in the first place, and it does not like if you have enough spells to look at it and say no, you're done for now. It's like, yeah, I'm done for now. All right, your turn. I'm gonna have 6 for a few turns. You do what you want. So I think that's the real issue with the deck. Before you had Treasure Cruise, that's when this deck started to look scary because you could draw out of the instances where they've shut you down. Here though, I mean, you're hoping to hit your Sphinx's Rev late game, your Sphinx's Rev in your 21 land deck.
I don't know, man.
You got them birds.
and some Gary did. So don't get me wrong, but so I think this deck is interesting. I hope that people like don't just ignore it, like keep working with it, because like this is the kind of deck almost like Lantern Control where I feel like okay, now you've got a shell, do something with it and see if you can make it good. But I feel like it's also the kind of deck that people will go, it did okay, and they'll ignore it. So
I mean, this is a subset of players out there that love this kind of stuff. So, I mean, I think it'll always be out there in some capacity. You know, whether it looks like this or maybe it's a little bit more streamlined. Who knows? But I mean, yeah, it was really cool to see this show up and like just you know. I know that it was on camera a few times, well, at least once, if not more than that, and I'm sure people were surprised.
I just like because I own this whole deck. So if I ever get really bored,
You ever just want to try something fun and
You
new?
just goldfish and
whatever.
spend hours figuring out gift piles and whatever else.
All right. Is that everything?
sure.
Cool. Let's move on to some standard. In the standard, what are they called now?
Classics.
Classics. That's right. So the standard classic had about 151 players. It was won by Michael Majors. Heard he's pretty good at Magic, playing 4-color Rally. We actually had a couple of instances show up of the black white control list, piloted by Brett Tetley and Kyle Cope. Sure.
Yep.
Which is pretty interesting. In all honesty, that's sort of what Hoogland's list that he is championed a lot, and people have been finding an advantage with going 2 colors in this format, which is pretty interesting to see for sure. And then we also have Brad Nelson showing up in the top 8, playing a pretty stock Esper Tokens list as well. Now, both of the rally decks were actually, it was all rally finals. The other rally deck was piloted by Michael McClure. You may know his father, Troy McClure. And such...
You know him from such films as
Oh man,
I Was a Teenage Magic Player
oh man, that's that.
and The Upkeep and You.
It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart so bad, Phil Hartman. I miss him so much. It happened like a long time ago, but
I
oh
don't know if
man,
you're gonna go for that joke, and I'm really glad that you did because
Yeah.
I didn't want to be the one that did it.
nope, I will be that guy. Everyone loves Troy McClure. And then we also have Abs and Aggro in third, piloted by Brad Carpenter. Green Red Eldrazi in fourth, piloted by Chris Lemaster. Another Abs and Aggro list, piloted by Kenneth D'Souza. And then that's rounds out our top 8. So, I mean, this is sort of like the tail end of this standard. We see something like Green and Eldrazi, kind of come back and still be able to duke it out, even though it hasn't necessarily always been the best positioned deck in the room. This looks very, very similar to the one that won the Players Championship. Maybe a few changes, but it's definitely something that is pretty stock, but also something that could see a lot more play once Oath comes out.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you don't think it's well positioned now, just give it a few weeks. And
Yeah, then,
see where it's at.
right, exactly.
There is one sweet list outside of the top 8 that I just wanted to talk about real quick. Ross Merriam finished 11th with Jeskai Black, and I was like, oh, okay, let's maybe he has something sweet going on with his list. I don't know. He's just got, let's see, Jay Soulfire Grandmaster.
Yeah, it seems like a relatively low creature count.
Demonic Pact.
Oh.
Yeah, he's running 3 Demonic Pact, 2 Disperse, and 2 Silumgar's Command, along with an Utter End as ways to get rid of it. Pretty interesting way there to go with it. I don't know how he wins matches in a timely manner. But anything that's playing Demonic Pact is always going to catch my eye because that's like a pet card of mine, and I really just want to play it. But I can never find a list that's competitive enough. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I have no idea if this is the right way to go with it, but it seems it's at least an interesting take on Jeskai Black.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that you would necessarily expect to see this close to the end of the format either. I mean, people trying like wacky, crazy stuff, but I mean, if you're gonna try it, why not?
Yeah,
I mean, Demonic Pact's a powerful card as long as you don't die to it.
Yeah.
I would like to know if he died to it throughout the entire day of the tournament. I mean, it's a relatively small one. Small tournament. All in all, wasn't like an open or anything like that where you had to play 15 rounds or anything like that. But I want to know if he died to it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you mentioned small tournament because I was actually interested to see what the numbers would be for these because they switched them over to the classics, which are no longer. These are the ones that they pay out in like prize wall tickets, I believe,
Correct.
and not cash
Yes.
any longer. So I went back and looked at the last time they had a modern open, and then they had the standard IQ and the legacy IQ, and the numbers were about the same. So the last time we had one of these was back, I believe it was Halloween weekend in Dallas, and the numbers for that one were very similar actually to. So we had 151 for this one, and it was like 149 or something for the standard IQ and that. And legacy numbers, so Legacy Classic this past weekend was 121 players, and in Dallas it was like just about 100. It was like 98.
So I don't know how comparable that is, because you also only had like between 400 and 500 players playing in the Modern Open in Dallas. So you had you're talking about 300 people playing 2 other formats out of the 500 to 600, between 400 and 600 that showed up for the Open. And
I guess
here
versus 1,000.
300 out of the 1,000. So I think wait for the next average size one to see what that correlation is and see if it dips.
No, that's definitely fair. I know a lot of people that didn't day 2 and ended up not going back.
We certainly didn't.
Yeah, there wasn't a reason to. I'm not gonna go.
The prize wall was garbage.
Yeah, it was very, very lackluster. I tell you what. I mean, GP. So like prize walls are. I don't necessarily enjoy them, but they're whatever. They're just here to stay now. There's no like changing in that, I guess. But GP prize walls are at least good. You feel like you get good value. I mean, like everything still pretty well correlates. Like you still play window boxes and everything like that. But I tell you what, this is like, oh, look at all this product that we couldn't move. Would you like to not pay money for it? Wink, wink.
No, they say there's a conversion of like whatever tickets to $25 in store credit. I don't know what that conversion is, but we took a long look at the prize wall, and it was a ton of play mats, especially of like old creature series that didn't sell in the first place. You could get Theros Fat Packs. So
Oh boy.
It was you can get current set. You could pay 10 tickets for a booster pack, or 10 tickets for tokens. Yep, including such hits as no longer employed Evan Erwin, no longer employed Brian Bronduin, no longer employed Reed Duke. Like, what? Maybe we're calling them out of print.
Out of work.
They're vintage tokens.
Yeah.
Not type 1 vintage.
Like, one
out of
token
print.
was the same price as one pack. I throw it out there. I have probably hundreds of these tokens. I have them sorted, Jordan style. If you want to trade me booster packs for them, heck, if you want to trade 2 booster packs for like a set of tokens, I am here for you.
We can make this exchange.
Ship Mike your tickets.
GoFundMe.
All right. Yeah, it was disappointing. Lastly, we also had the Legacy Classic. It was won by Dylan Donegan, playing Grixis Delver.
No notable vintage token.
Notable 10 ticket token, Dylan Donegan.
I have those too. Come on down to Mike's Emporium.
Yeah.
Do you think he used his own token for his young pyromancers?
No,
he
yeah,
had
he-
to have, right?
No, he probably couldn't have. He realized he needed someone. He went to get them, and they wanted 10 tickets apiece.
I mean, yeah, whatever. He probably has like a billion of his own tokens.
They got to give him like a lifetime supply, right? It's like,
Yeah,
oh, I ran
infinite.
out. I need some more.
Infinite.
Yeah.
I would hope so. I mean, I personally have 15 LA and Trowsy Angel tokens, so he's got to have 500.
Now, what do the foil tokens go for? Did they have any of those?
I have no idea.
Because I guess I have Somali and Trowsy foil tokens.
I do too. It's in the
Let me
battle
tell
box.
So good. Oh man. Anyway, I think that's it for competitive. We've done enough token to ticket to pack conversions for a lifetime. So let's move on to the question of the week here. So we have Pro Tour of Oath of the Gatewatch coming up. It is a modern tournament. It's the lone modern Pro Tour of the year. With Oath looking like it's going to be, pretty impactful to standard, how do we feel about revisiting the idea that all the Pro Tours should be standard and limited, and instead of having the one outlier modern Pro Tour? Because if you guys remember when obviously when it was rolled out, we got the announcement of the Pro Tours changing before we got the announcement of the change in how rotation works. So it was like how they revealed the information to us was a bit disingenuous. We kind of didn't see everything for it, in my opinion.
Oh, you mean everybody rushed to judgment before getting all the facts?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Interesting.
So, okay, let me start here. I saw this come down on Twitter the other day from Evan Arrow, was actually one of the major ones tweeting about this, and how people are really excited about Oath of the Gatewatch, and they're upset that it's not going to be standard. So, let me posit this. What if it was Battle for Zendikar coming out in January? Would people be upset that it wasn't modern? So you're telling me that you want to switch this one to standard because you think this is going to be a good set? You're going to guarantee that it's going to be a good set every time? You want to have a floating Pro Tour? Because that isn't going to happen. You're not going to be able to do that to the players who are queued for the Pro Tour.
Right.
Modern has just put up two of its largest events, like in recent memory, has a ton of buzz, and it's you have a chance to shake up the format with bans or unbanning and move into the Pro Tour. I'm sorry, I think it's ridiculous to try and cut it. I know you like Oath, I like Oath too, but it's okay to play different formats. I promise.
So I'm kind of on the other side of that, and I've said this before. I think that modern being a Pro Tour format it actually hurts the format, and the reason for that, mostly for me, is that they basically gone to this. They've gone to only banning or unbanning cards right before the Pro Tour happens. So I feel like Amulet has been a deck that has probably warranted a ban for quite a while now, but they really haven't done anything to the banned list because they want to wait until right before the Pro Tour to shake things up. And for people that like to play the format year round, like I like to play it all the time. I don't play it just during modern season, PPTQs and stuff like that. I play it all the time. It's frustrating because, if I feel like the format is unhealthy, I feel like Wizards isn't going to do anything until January, February every year rolls around.
Yeah, but you'd like the format.
I do like the format, but I also I would rather it not. I think it's a bad Pro Tour format because I think that and a lot of pros kind of I think echo this sentiment that it's hard to get an edge in modern just because a lot of the cards are just so powerful, and especially the sideboard cards that you have access to.
But Limited's a good Pro Tour format then?
Well, limited is
The
I
one-
think much more skill testing.
I suppose, but it's also still pure variant schlock half the time. So the argument that I have heard is that people so does drafting sell a format?
To some people.
I mean, drafting is consistently the lowest viewer of anything ever.
I wouldn't argue that. No,
So-
I agree with that. But I think draft is
almost nobody has to draft to get in the Pro Tour anymore. Outside of limited GPs, you won't have the online series getting go through limited anymore. You only have one limited RPTQ a year. Most PPTQs aren't limited, so you're asking them to play a format that they never have to play any other time. Yeah, I feel like that argument is fairly moot. Feeding into the it's a bad Pro Tour format. Well, any standard format could be a bad Pro Tour format. You don't know until it's played.
Well,
I want to see the I want to see the best players in the world play the format I enjoy playing, and taking away from the Pro Tour seems to be the opposite of that to me.
okay, let me put it this way then. For this Pro Tour specifically, so I love Modern. Like I just said, I play it all the time. I love it, and I love seeing pros play. So like I will watch GP coverage over Star City because I like seeing the big name pros. I like seeing the best players in the world play. That being said, I wish that this Pro Tour was standard because I'm excited to see. I think Oath of the Gatewatch is going to have a huge impact on standard. I think standard is going to be completely turned on its head. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with that, especially because personally I haven't really enjoyed standard that much. Over the last couple of months, basically since Battle became legal, and the fact that it's modern, it just kind of feels like we're not really going to see anything new. I mean, we'll see what happens with the bannings. I'm sure there'll be some changes to the format, but I feel like for the most part, we're going to see the same decks being played, and really, it's just not gonna. It's just not really that exciting to me. I don't know.
I mean, like, so the only thing that I would have to say that I don't necessarily like about this is that we bannings have now become banning slash unbannings have now become like Christmas. Like we get them once a year, and that's just kind of how it is. And I feel like that's unfortunate because I feel like the format can and needs to evolve quicker. Like it has the ability to do so. So why not? We can observe what's happening through exterior tournament series like the Open series. You can see what's happening in the results with GPs. And I'm not saying they need to go like ban or unban crazy, but I really feel like it's something that should happen more than once a year. And maybe that's not really maybe that's just causation without correlation. Maybe they aren't doing that, and if there was a need for something, they would do it regardless of time period. But it only seems to happen when we have that Pro Tour coming up. So that's the only unfortunate thing, but I feel like it should exist. It's still is something that is a format that they need to support, and they should support it in a big way. I understand that we may not be able to show off everything that's going to happen in the new set with new standard, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it doesn't force people into corners with deck building. It doesn't like shut off avenues because the pros aren't playing it or what have you. It gives a people more of a less of a guide to building standards so they get off the beaten path, and I think that's fine. I think that that can be important, especially with a set like this that is going to mix up standard. So it's going to give people an opportunity not to have to look at these, Pro Tour lists that they need to build their decks off of, and kind of gives them a way to see what sinks or swims.
Yeah, I think it's an important point to it as well. Just I mean, you only have 3-4 months until you start getting stuff for Innistrad, so I don't want the format to be solved that quickly. I totally agree with that. But I think the thing that to take away from this is like all these people now who are questioning this are the same people. Like you and I both are people who are really happy they kept the Modern Pro Tour. Like we said that on this cast. So to sit there and be like, oh well, I just don't like it because of the timing. Like then they're just going to take it away, and I don't want them to take away a Modern Pro Tour. I think you suck it up that every now and then you're going to have a standard format that you're going to say, I wish I could have seen that, but I get to see Modern instead. I I remember like the dark times, the Empire of extended, where they just that format would only get revisited when it had to. Changes weren't made to that format nearly often enough. Like, oh well, it rotates because there's new cards coming in, so we don't have to do very much to it. And like, I feel like Modern's in a good place. Yeah, they change it once a year. Let a format function, let it flow. You know what I mean? I don't feel like if Modern was fundamentally broken, you wouldn't have its two largest events, in recent history be the last 2 months. You know what I mean? So I want to see it. I understand maybe there's some backlash. You want to see Oath. I get it. In my mind, my first option is to make it a dual format and cut draft, but that's me personally, I suppose.
Okay, so what happens if at this Pro Tour, some team, whether it be Channel Fireball or the Pantheon or whatever, just finds the list. So we don't know what the bannings are going to be, but say there's something, say Stoneforge gets unbanned, right? And it comes up and it's in like this crazy deck that Wizards didn't see coming, and then it's just going to dominate the format for the next year. Like, you're okay with them not changing anything until the next Pro Tour?
No, if the format, I'm suggesting if the format was a state of emergency, sure, you'd have to do that, but the format isn't in a state of emergency. It needs addressed currently.
I mean,
But it's the same thing with Birthing Pod. They gave it the time, so they had a lot of data to look at people and say, this is what it's doing. The same thing with Amulet Bloom. They have a lot of time to look at the data and say, hey, this is what it's doing. If a deck came out and was just dominating, it was like Affinity or Callblade, yeah, sure, they're going to take action quicker than that. I think you're assuming that. I think you're assuming they're just like, well, should we talk about Modern? Nah, we don't have to do that until next January. I don't think Wizards is doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they always do have the option to ban something if they feel like it, but I just don't know. I don't know that they care to, really. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they save things for right before the Pro Tour. You know what I mean? Like, they could have banned Amulet or something like
No,
months
they
ago.
could again, but I think if the format was fundamentally broken, like you're considering, there would be a difference.
Okay, that's fair.
And there'd certainly be a difference in like attendance to tournaments.
Right, yeah.
I don't want to play a fundamentally broken format that I feel like I can't win it with unless I'm playing X deck.
Right.
Or X deck that hates out the specific deck. And Modern's not like that. It's still relatively wide open. You can still go to a tournament and play something like Blue Red Delver and get 31st place.
Well, I mean, look. I mentioned this. I was talking with Keller, who's been really negative to the format recently, and was saying like, you look at someone like Jeff Hoagland, right? Who's, I mean, he's been playing that chord list for almost a year off and on, and that deck can never beat Bloom. It can't beat Tron consistently. He did in the top 8. I mean, dear Lord, he did it. You know what I mean? But only because he knows his list so well. But if you watch the finals, he had an F6 button drawn up. You know what I mean? Because he knew. But he likes the deck enough, and the format's open enough that he can be successful with it. And the proof is he was sitting in second place. You know what I mean? So I think there's a difference in what you're suggesting. And honestly, look at the cards we're getting out of Oath right now. You're saying a standard deck couldn't come out like that? And they're definitely not going to fix that until the next set. There wouldn't be a banning until the next set. So you'd have to deal with that too if the pros broke it, but you already have a far less chance. So you could argue that about any format at any time.
Okay.
Boom, roasted.
Yeah, I think it'll be...
Roll credits.
Roll credits. I think it's a good place to stop then at this point in time. But no, I think that was a good discussion about that, and I think like this is a discussion that kind of recently happened on Twitter, and is something that Wizards I'm sure knows about. It is an interesting like thing to think about if Wizards like, hey, we're changing rotation, and then was like, hey, we're changing the Pro Tour, and like how potentially different the reactions would have been if that happened.
I'm pretty sure too that when they announced that they were all going to be standard, that was like during the peak time of like mono black versus mono blue devotion in standard, which is like one of the worst standards in recent memory.
Right.
And everybody's like, "Oh, great!"
Mike's like,
But it's
"Well,
all
it
gonna be
depends on
standard."
who you were, right?" 'Cause-
I like that format. I made a lot of money in that format.
But yeah, I think like that you paint a different picture. But I mean, that's just a what if situation, and that's not what we have. So. But let's go ahead and wrap up this episode. So, a couple of tournaments are happening over the weekend. We have GP Oakland, which is going to be standard, and then we have Star City Games Charlotte, which will be modern. And you all can root for Jordan. He is apparently going to Charlotte, and he's gone back home. He's going to go play Tron.
Yeah, I heard his ex called him, and they're getting back together too.
Yeah.
Karn like called him up. He's just like, "What's going on, buddy?"
No. His is a lot more like parasitic than yours is. Like yours is like a mutual thing, but you've both been healthy on your own, right? He's tried other things. He's dabbled. They've all been failures. Like, he sold his deck on the spot. Like, we all did poorly. He went 06-03, sold his deck on the spot, and then bought back into Tron. So it was more like Karn wasn't calling up. Karn was just like, I knew you'd be back. They always come back.
There's a saying that Karn doesn't care, and he didn't.
No, he didn't. Karn just sitting there like smoking a cigarette, wearing sunglasses, and Jordan's like, I'm back, Karn. He's like, I know.
I know.
Jordan just busts in the door. I love you, Karn. I know.
Jordan is the toady in the Karn relationship.
Yeah.
Karn's like, I'm going to exile that thing. And Jordan's like, yeah!
Yeah. It's so good.
You did it! I know.
So, coming up though, so we have pre-releases. Obviously, Comic Con is going to be hosting a huge amount of them. As far as I know, it's 6 events across the weekend. So at midnight, and then 3 Saturday, 2 on Sunday.
Yeah, and they're doing some cool like prize wall stuff in addition to regular
Correct.
prizes.
Yep.
So they've got some weird stuff that you can win, including like the original comic run.
Yep. With some with their original promos in them, which is
Yeah.
pretty sweet. I got to ask them if they have any oversized 8th or 9th edition cards.
You gotta add to your collection.
I gotta. I mean,
Yeah, last time
apparently.
they did this, one of us walked away with a foam Garrick sword or a Garrick axe. One of us got oversized cards.
Yeah.
One of us really wanted that axe. I didn't want the axe, but I got it.
Hate you.
But you still have it too.
Oh, it's displayed in my home. I was
Yeah.
like, it's one of those things I didn't know I needed, but now I'm like, yeah.
I wish I had it displayed in this office right now, but
I mean, you could put there's a lot of space in the wall. You can put your oversized cards up. I mean, you got these like oversized like unhinged lands, so you could just put like the other oversized cards just right around it.
yeah. No, it's not the same. Not quite the same. But yeah, so that's going to be running from the 16th to the 17th. And then the biggest thing that they have going on is the Winter Classic. This is going to be a 5K tournament held on January 23rd. So that is the first weekend that we have Oath of the Gatewatch being legal in the standard format, in the modern format technically. This is going to be a standard event though. It's going to have a ton of side events, including a modern GPT.
GPT is on Sunday.
GPT's on Saturday. There's
GPT
another modern.
or is it
Yeah,
IQ
there's a
on
modern
Sunday?
IQ on
My
Sunday.
bad.
Okay.
Events all weekend.
All kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, definitely come down on the 23rd to play for sure in the 5K.
Yeah, Star City's going to be there the next week. This is your practice run for it. And honestly, if you want more events like this, like 5Ks that are just randomly sitting here, and you want to win money, show up for this.
Yeah,
There's no
for
reason
sure.
not to.
Exactly.
With
We'll be there.
4x multipliers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Or-
Force multiplier too, which is insane.
Yeah, so I mean, like, if you still need points to get your buys for next year, this is a good opportunity to do so. Definitely, we hope to see everyone and anyone that can come to January 23rd to the Comic Town Winter Classic.
Come to the Winter Classic.
Are we gonna try to make a theme song like a theme song for the Winter
I'm trying to
Classic?
think. So when I was growing up, we had the IX Indoor Amusement Park,
Okay.
and it was like the IX Indoor So we got to get like the Comic Town 5K Winter Classic.
Sure.
We'll figure it out by next week.
Probably not, but maybe.
Probably not.
Break me off a piece of that classic 5K. Ooh, this one works. Meow meow. If you speak cat, it's perfect.
Anyway, well, on that note,
What? No pause.
no, get out. No one wants you anymore. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this lovely return to form for At Your End Step. We will hope to see you guys next week, and you have a great one.